Hello folks, how are you? I'm just here in the studio, I'm just knocking up a bit of clay, getting ready for, I just wanted to, I'm not really embarking on a lot of making, but I just wanted to have a go on the leach wheel and just make some pots, so why don't you join me? Yeah, so this is just some clay here from the bench which has been reconstituted as clay a good number of times, but we just keep using it and it just gets more and more plastic and more plastic. So I want to give this clay, always give it a good knead though. You know, sometimes when you've got clay that perhaps you've had drying or has been reconstituted, the consistency of the clay is not always uniform. And sometimes it's necessary to cut it through with a wedging wire and bang it down on top of it, stuff like this. Do this 10 times. Okay. I just telling you that I don't actually need to do that with this because it's okay, but yeah, I do encourage you to give your clay a good knead. I think from just watching people, you know, here on workshops and places I go, I think the two really important things that if people did, they would instantly make better pots. And those two things are, number one, make sure your clay is really well wedged up, or kneaded up, as I prefer to call it. If your clay is not properly wedged or kneaded, then you're immediately handicapping yourself. You know, and you need to develop a good way of kneading, and I think the best way is the spiral kneading method. So I'm going to put the camera just on that lump of clay for you, just to see in a little bit more detail, because it is, you know, you cannot underestimate how important it is. It's vitally important. Come on, zoom. What's the matter with this zoom on this camera? Oh gosh, just doesn't want to zoom in anymore, this camera. I don't know why. Never mind. just watch me. Just watch me from there as best you can. We're trying to get as much light on the subject as we can. This camera, as you know, is not the best one. It doesn't sort of want to. It's good for sound, but it's not much good for. You've got to have every light on, every conceivable light blaring away. Anyway, I hope you can see me. Okay, this is a lump of clay. I haven't got a clue how much it weighs, but hang on, wait a minute. You may be able to find out. Not that you have to take a lump of clay as big as this. It's actually, that's weighing in at 11 pounds. All right, but you'll find that for a lot of you that's too much. Especially if you're learning. Okay, so now look, when you're going to start doing your wedging or your kneading, I'll just call it wedging now on because most people understand that. Make sure your bench is clean of crap. Pardon my French, okay? Just get rid of anything that's, you know, sponge it down, get it clean. You know, like if you're like me, you were doing something here on a bench before and you were cutting up or filing metal or, you know, wood chips and a saw or whatever. You make sure everything is spotlessly clean. You really don't want that in the clay. Okay? Now to do this wedging, you want to put your left foot forward, okay, and lean into it, lean into the clay with straight arms, okay, and keep your head down here. This is where you're looking, not up there on the ceiling. If you're looking up there, you're in the wrong place. You need to be right here, looking intently at what your hands are doing. Okay, now it's a spiral kneading action. I've done this before on various video clips, but it's always worth reiterating again, you know, the importance of getting to know how to knead. And if you're somebody who still can't do it, who still can't get the pretty pattern, the nice shell, okay, I encourage you, just keep at it, keep practicing. As I say, there's a few basic pointers or helpers. Put your left foot forward and bend your leg, you see, like that, because when you bend your leg you transfer your weight forward into the clay here, all right? And that's fundamental, because it stops you otherwise. If you just stood here by the bench and you're trying to do it all with your arms like this, you're just going to break out in a bigger sweat and you're just going to end up on a heap on the floor. Okay, so just try and get a bit of method into it. Okay, now ideally you do this about 100 times. Okay, now I know that sounds a lot, but it doesn't take long. And learn to do this in small chunks. Okay, don't think, right, I'm going to go into the workshop and I'm not going to come out of the workshop until I've learned how to knead. That's not the way to do it. Okay, do it for say 10 minutes. Do the best you can, and then move on. Ball up your lumps of clay. You may find they're not properly kneaded, but never mind. If they're not properly kneaded, you'll make not very good pots, and then you'll think to yourself as you're meditating on the wheel, because when we're on the potter's wheel, we all meditate, don't we? We contemplate, we meditate. You know, do you ever find when you're on the potter's wheel, your mind somehow just gets released, and you can, at least it's like that for me a bit, when I suppose because once you've learned how to do it, your mind can disengage from what your hands are doing. Okay, so you want to do this about 100 times, knead it up. And when you've finished, you let this part here, which you're kneading, this part of your wedging, you let this bit just get bigger and bigger and bigger until it consumes all of this. Okay. Okay. So you knead it up and let it consume the rest of it slowly, so it doesn't trap air. Yeah, 10 minutes, as Michael Cardew said, 10 minutes wedging before breakfast. That'll get you going. So, okay, so I've got some clay here, and I just want to quickly just weigh up some lump. I actually want to get on the wheel, if I can stop talking. I want a pound because I just want to start making some a few tea bowls, just something nice and simple, something to relax into, nothing that's going to stress me too much. Okay, weigh your clay, weigh up your lumps of clay and try and get them as accurate as possible. I use one of these little digital balancers. It works pretty well and it weighs fairly accurately. Yeah, that'll do. No. That's good. Now, when you're weighing up, okay, don't cut off the lumps from the main block here with your wire. Don't do that, okay, because you won't be able to judge how much you're pulling off. Okay, because ideally you want to weigh the lump of clay in your hand before you even put it onto the scale, so you judge it, you see. I can judge it fairly accurately. That's, you see, look, that's 0.983. See, that's just a very little bit. It's about that much off of a pound. 0.994, 0.998, well, that's good enough. It hasn't got to be exactly. But do get your lumps weighed up, because you know it helps to be consistent with your throwing, and that's what we want to be, isn't it? We want to be consistent throwers, do we not? We don't want to be haphazard throwers. Well, you know, well, this will do, any old lump, you know, any old size. I don't know what I'm going to make, but whatever happens, well, it happens, you know? Is that the kind of potter you want to be? I don't. That's a potter who's not in control of his clay. Whatever will be, will be. Well, as my son who's in the army would say, get a grip, Dad, get a grip. Okay, so you get your lumps of clay, all right? Now keep your lumps of clay like this, pressed together like cannonballs, all right? Just keep them nicely together. Okay, I've got 8 lumps there. That'll do just for now. Otherwise, we're going to run out of battery or memory or whatever. So let's get over there by the wheel. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to transfer some of my lighting arrangements over here so you can see what I'm about. There we go. Now we're going to bring this fella over here. So yeah, I haven't really done any throwing on this wheel yet, but so there we go. Maybe bring in these light bulbs a bit. Wish they kicked out a bit more light. I don't know, looking through the viewfinder here, it sort of looks dull. Dull, dull, dull. Hang on. Just move this lot forward a bit. How's that looking? Is that any better? Okay, well, I think so. All right. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Well, this is indeed a pleasure, being back on this wheel. Oh, I miss the quiet, rhythmical, contemplative, you know. Here we go. Have I got all my tools? Let's just check before we start. Sponge on a stick, yes. Throwing stick, yes. Wire, yes. Needle tool, yes. But I haven't got a leather. Where's my leather? Here it is. No panic. It's a bit dry, but we'll put them in there. You'll get nice and. So now keep your leather, folks, keep your leather in a place where you know where it is, because you know it's so easy to lose the leather, isn't it, down in the slot. So keep the leather just there. Alright, it's quite important to keep a bit of order about your throwing station. Okay, you don't have all your tools all piled everywhere and everything under the sun. That's no good. So I've got here my wire, that's going to go over there. All you need is 5 tools, you see, isn't it, for throwing? You don't need any more. Yeah, okay, well somebody will say, well, I've got to have a rib, I've got to have this. Well, your throwing stick is your rib. Alright, you use your throwing stick as a rib. Well, I do. Okay, let's go. Well, the weather is hot and humid here in Pennsylvania. I don't know where you are, but here in Pennsylvania it is clammy hot, and there's no breeze. So we're just making these simple thrown cups, and what I'm going to do with these is I think I'm going to raw glaze them. Raw glaze them, yeah. So just getting into the feel, you know, when you start to sit down to throw, just what you need to do is sort of reach a place of kind of feeling at one with the wheel, and yep, so you can come off, put in there on the end of the bench. I like making tea bowls, or these cups as I call them. I don't really like calling them tea bowls in a way, because you know that's all to do with the Japanese Oriental idea, you know, and we tend to use these words and these phrases, you know, like tea bowl. I hear people talking about what do they call it, a chawan and all this. Most of these people probably don't even use them for drinking tea out of. But you see, it's not part of our
our cultural heritage, really, the tea ceremony, is it, here in the West? And yet we're sort of imitating and copying this sort of thing, you know.
Something isn't right about it, it's false. And so, anyway, my 2 pennies worth. Dee-da. La. Yeah, this wheel is, I'd say it's really quiet. This is the quietest leach I've ever the quietest leach I've ever encountered. So just pulling up the clay nice and gently and easily. Let the pot grow. These kind of tea bowls, you see, they're sort of repeat pots, but they have a sort of individual quality about them. A little bit of, let's say, freedom of expression, which now you see typically in the Japanese. See, one of the things I don't know, you tell me what you think about this, maybe. If I'm off my rocker, you tell me, okay? A lot of Japanese pots have the appearance of looking very free and bashed about. Do you know what I mean? They have a certain freedom about them. They're rather, you know, they look sort of, sometimes some Japanese pots that I look at, I think, God, looks like a child made that. Sort of not very well finished off and a bit sort of rough and a bit bent about and out of shape and wobbly rim and all that. I think, So, my question is, when you're making a pot, you see, if you're a skilled potter and you're used to making sort of a definite shape, like I am, you know, I mean, I like to think that I'm skilled, but so I make my pot, you see, but I may have some difficulty in being able to make a pot that is as loose, okay, as some of these pots that I see. So how am I going to go about creating a pot that is loose? Well, one of the things you can do is, for a start, you can slow down your wheel, not have it going quite so fast, because a pot that is a wheel that is going and spinning very fast, it's difficult to really impart a lot of feeling into the work. You need a slower speed, and that's one of the reasons I like these kind of wheels, because they allow a lot more freedom of expression in your work. Anyway, what was I trying to say? Yeah, so you know, but I've seen some of these people making pots, and it's like they purposely make the rim go up and down and all that. You know, I sort of think it's a bit kind of fake in a sort of way, but on the other hand, if it happens naturally, you know, as you're making it, and it has a certain sort of nice loose quality, then you know, I like that, and I feel like I want to leave that, you know, because it sort of happened, you know, naturally.
I don't like trying to sort of manufacture it somehow. It's sort of somehow a bit contrived, if you know what I mean. Contrived. Well, oop, I've got something in the clay here. I've got to dig it out. I don't know what it is, but a piece of grit or something. That is one of the dangers of recycling clay a lot. Your clay tends to get dirty. It picks up contaminants along the way, and you know, it finds its way into the clay. Even if you try your best not to let it happen, always something seems to get in there from somewhere. Well, if it happens, it happens. You just have to dig it out, and you have to hope that, you know, because sometimes these things they like blow out in the kiln. You get a blowout in your pot, and then it can ruin the pot, can't it? Dee 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 dee. See, it's very nice and calming, isn't it? Do you not find the wheel calming? I find it very calming. Sometimes what I like to do is take the throwing stick. I'll show you in a sec with this one. You know, you can just lift the pot, like not using any rib. I haven't used a rib at all on these, just lift them. So they've got quite a lot of finger marks, you know, in the clay, which is nice. Another way of doing it is putting my throwing stick against the side and then pushing the clay to the throwing stick as I bring it up. But you do it with the wheel speed going really quite slowly. And that imparts a certain quality to the pot which can be pleasing. So we're going to I sort of basically throw the shape like that. And we're going to take the throwing stick, I'm going to drop the speed right back, hit it with the stick and just sort of bring it up in a kind of coarse, rather sort of coarse way. Yeah, sometimes it works better than other times, you know, once you've done it though, you don't really want to go back over it. I don't think. Because then it starts to look kind of... See, that's one that I just did like that. A couple more and we're done. That had a bit of something in it as well. We're used to clay being so refined, aren't we, and so pure, and something quite nice actually about having clay that's got a few impurities in it, in a sense, because you know, impurities can add a little bit of character to the pot. Now we've got some sponges on sticks at our website. That's these guys. Not too big and clumpy. Nice sized sponge. And these ones have actually got down the side, they've got, it's calibrated, so you can actually measure. Let's try that, what I said again about this. Well, I've got some things here. I was going to do these, wasn't I? Haven't done them. These are some old beard trimmers. You know, you get these guys, they go on the front of like a beard trimmer. These plastic things. I thought, you know, ooh, I could use those. To keep your eye on the lookout, don't you, for things that you think you can use to treat your clay in some way. So, we've got one more there, which we'll smack this one with a wooden spoon. And then we better sign off, otherwise the clip will be, I know this clip's going to be at least 20 minutes long. So yeah, wooden spoon. Been a bad boy, gonna have a smack. Wet your spoon, okay, before you whack the pot. Right, you're gonna put the hand on the inside, and you're gonna get this, and you're gonna go whack. And whack. Yeah, maybe two's enough. Two's enough today. You may have to just, you know, because it knocks it out of round, you may want to then make it round again. Okay, I think we're there. Here endeth the lesson. Okay, so Simon Leach here from Williamsburg, here in central Pennsylvania, saying, let's all keep on practicing. And we'll see you soon. Bye bye.